I don't know his state of mind.
LeBron James watched from the sideline as his son got completely dismantled, torn apart play-by-play, and he stayed silent, stone-cold silent, while Bronny took hit after hit. The media swarm came for LeBron, hungry for answers, throwing hardball questions, but he shut it all down instantly, walking out and killing the interview dead. Then the footage surfaced, a ghost from the game that refused to stay buried. Crystal clear proof for the whole world. But this is where the narrative spirals into a total Lakers nightmare. Let's cut the pleasantries and face the brutal reality. Right now, Bronny James is playing like absolute trash. There is no spinning this, no PR safety net left. JJ Redick has officially reached his breaking point with the kid, so let's rip this open and see the ugly truth. This is the moment that set the internet on fire. Let me take you back to November 18th, 2025. The Lakers roll into enemy territory, the Fiserv Forum, ready to go to war against the Milwaukee Bucks. They walked out with a dominant victory, 119-95, riding the back of some insane offensive firepower, especially from Luka Doncic, who was putting up monster numbers all night. But nobody cares about the scoreboard. That win was just the backdrop for a much darker storyline. The spotlight shifted, burning a hole through Bronny's struggles as he desperately tried and failed to justify his spot in the rotation. You ask about satisfaction? You ask about tangible growth? Witnessing the growth. Look, I mean, it's been something to see, something to watch unfold. Listen, the kid is young. We are talking about someone who just turned 21, still learning the ropes, still grinding to get better with every single rep. But here is the raw situation with Bronny James that nobody wants to say out loud. He is 21 years old, in his second year as a pro, and suddenly he gets thrown into the fire, his second career start in a massive matchup. And understand this was not some random roll of the dice. The Lakers were decimated by injuries, scrambling to patch together a lineup, and JJ Redick decided it was time to test the mettle of his young blood. Redick, a rookie head coach, fresh off his own playing days, preaches one thing above all else: aggression. If you have the shot, you pull the trigger. No hesitation. This was supposed to be Bronny's breakout moment, his chance to silence the haters. Instead, it turned into a televised disaster that the basketball world dissected for weeks. He is trying to carve out his own legacy, sure. Look, he is definitely not his father, and I am telling you right now, I am not him either. I could never handle that level of microscopic scrutiny, the weight of the world on his shoulders at that age, at that elite level. And the social media noise? I didn't have a million voices screaming at me when I came into the league at 18, but this is where the train went off the rails. First quarter action. Bronny finds himself in the sweet spot, not once, but twice, wide open, parked behind the three-point line. The ball movement is poetry. Luka Doncic is serving it up on a silver platter, giving him the perfect look. And what does Bronny do? He freezes, he chokes. Both times, he has the green light. He second guesses, hesitates, and kicks the ball back out. It completely murdered the offensive rhythm, and you could feel the frustration boiling over on the court. Doncic threw his hands in the air, looking at the bench like he could not believe the fear he was seeing in his teammates' eyes. You could cut the tension in that arena with a knife. That moment right there, that is where the crack between LeBron and the organization turned into a canyon. Add that to the reality that Rob Pelinka is making moves in the shadows. The upper crust of the Lakers front office, the suits upstairs, they are going all in on Luka right now. He is the future. And logically, they should be building the next dynasty. But LeBron, with that massive fragile ego, he simply cannot handle being the second option. But I don't think the front office drama is what made JJ Redick snap. Right there on the sideline, with high-definition cameras rolling, Redick absolutely exploded on Bronny, screaming words that would get censored on cable TV. The broadcast mics picked up the rage, and within minutes, it was viral gold, trending on every timeline and sports show across the globe. You could hear the desperation in Redick's voice, a demand that Bronny stop playing like a terrified rookie if he wants to survive in this league. After the second time Bronny refused to shoot, Redick yanked him from the game after just 4 minutes, gluing him to the bench until the second half. The stat sheet was humiliating. Bronny finished with barely 10 minutes of floor time. He attempted only 2 shots the entire night, which basically proved exactly what Redick was screaming about: passive, scared basketball. Hold on. Let me jump in here because this is critical. I think LeBron completely overplayed his hand on this one. He bought into his own myth, overestimated his power at this stage of his career. He thought triggering that player option would give him the best of both worlds, total control and the bag. But this disaster against Milwaukee, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a fluke. This is the climax of a storyline that has been haunting Bronny since the second he stepped onto an NBA court. The Lakers have been force-feeding him minutes, bumping him from 6.7 a game as a rookie to around 12.7 this season, hoping something clicks. The problem is, with all that extra time, the kid is shooting a dismal 35% from the field and 33% from deep. The metrics were screaming a warning, and they weren't moving anywhere near fast enough to save the season. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to stare these stats in the face. And I am telling you this for a reason, because the next time you see a highlight reel of Bronny catching a lob or throwing down a dunk, you have to look past the flash and remember the brutal reality underneath. Bronny is averaging 13 minutes a night. The Lakers are genuinely handing him a golden ticket this season. But when that sideline explosion went viral, the basketball world didn't just react, it went nuclear. Half the crowd stood with Redick, calling it necessary grit, old school fire for a player who needed a wake-up call. The other half? They saw a public execution, questioning if humiliating a rookie on national television builds character or shatters it forever. Every YouTube analyst and sports podcast host was obsessing over the footage, breaking down every frame like it was a crime scene. Look at the receipt. 4 points a game at USC, 36% from the field, and no NBA frame to back it up. You cannot defend the indefensible. So you hide behind race? You call me a racist because you are terrified to debate the actual merits? That is clown behavior. But hold on, because here is the plot twist that absolutely nobody predicted. Bronny took that heat and handled it like a 10-year vet. Days later, he stepped up and admitted he knew exactly what Coach Redick was demanding. The message was crystal clear. Stop hesitating, get aggressive, and attack the rim when those lanes open up. Bronny looked the reporters in the eye and said he is grinding every single day, and when the ball finds him, he is letting it fly without fear. Then, on November 22nd, the Lakers made the call, sending him down to the G League South Bay squad. That same night, he erupted for 15 points on 5 of 10 shooting against Santa Cruz, proving he wasn't there to mess around. He added 8 dimes, crashed the boards, and snatched 3 steals in a massive win. The kid finally showed the killer instinct Redick had been screaming for. Yet, the entire world was fixated on one burning question. How is LeBron James, the king himself, going to handle watching his own flesh and blood get chewed out on live TV? You have JJ experimenting with lineups, and then you have Stephen A. Smith in Philly watching Bronny get first quarter minutes and losing his mind. He is asking, why the face? Why the hand gestures? What is even happening on that bench? I am trying really trying to show the utmost respect to LeBron James here, but I am pleading with him, father to father, you have got to stop this charade. Just stop it right now. Let's be real, we all know Bronny James is only wearing that jersey because of his dad. And LeBron's response? Silence. Cold, calculated, deafening silence. Throughout the entire 2025-2026 campaign, he has been grilled about every benching and every minute, and every single time, he sticks to the exact same script, unwavering support for his son, measured words for the media, and absolutely 0 shots fired at the coaching staff. Even after Redick's viral meltdown during the Bucks game, LeBron refused to take the bait. No cryptic Instagram stories, no sources leaking anger, no storming into the front office to demand heads roll. LeBron has sworn repeatedly that he stays completely out of the coaching box for Bronny and Bryce, claiming he never dials up the staff and lets them do their jobs. He doubled down on that hands-off philosophy during a heated discussion on December 30th that set social media ablaze. LeBron made it perfectly clear. He is staying in his lane, even while the microscope on Bronny's limited role under Redick gets hotter by the day. When the press tries to corner him about Bronny's development, LeBron pivots to the long game, focusing on growth and refusing to complain about minutes or tactics. But listen, the reason the pressure cooker is so hot for Bronny is because his father cranked up the heat himself. LeBron is the one who said his son is better than half the guys currently on NBA rosters. He is the one who claimed Bronny could start for the Lakers right now. I didn't say that. The guy next to me didn't say that. LeBron said it. So when the king speaks, people listen and they keep receipts. Now, fast forward to November 19th, the day after Redick's outburst, LeBron faces the media, and his take on Bronny's performance was honest but shockingly lighthearted. He was actually laughing about it, acknowledging that Bronny is a rookie who is still learning the ropes of the pro game. He even brought Bronny into the joke, getting him to laugh along, instantly diffusing the tension and proving they are a united front, not a drama factory. It was a complete 180 from the reaction most people were betting on. We know LeBron. We know he is never quiet when he feels disrespected or frustrated on the hardwood. We have seen the cameras catch him screaming at refs, glaring at teammates for missed rotations, and rolling his eyes at coaching decisions he hates. But when his own flesh and blood got publicly dismantled by the head coach, LeBron offered absolutely zero resistance. He didn't step in to shield Bronny from the media firestorm. He didn't even hint that Coach Redick's brutal methods crossed a line. He just watched it happen and kept moving like it was just another Tuesday at the office. Then came the humiliation of January 8th against San Antonio. Bronny saw the floor for a measly 60 seconds. Even with the Lakers decimated by injuries and desperate for bodies, the King remained silent, offering no public reaction to his son's benching. Reports confirmed LeBron was resting that night, sitting right there on the sidelines, yet not a single verified statement surfaced to show anger or blame toward the coaching staff's ruthless decision. Bronny himself has had to step up and kill the rumors about his father pulling strings behind the curtain. Back in July 2025, the rookie revealed the cold truth. When the trade rumors and chaos start swirling, LeBron's advice is to completely block out the noise. Bronny admitted they barely even speak about the politics of the game, and when the topic forces its way in, his dad shuts it down immediately, telling him to ignore it, to not even give it a second of his energy. Their private talks aren't about manipulating minutes. They are intense sessions focused purely on mental armor and psychological warfare, not confronting the coach. This hints at a shocking reality. LeBron's silence might not be a PR stunt, but a brutal philosophical stance on earning your stripes. LeBron has addressed Bronny's mental state before, and you can practically feel the pride radiating off him when he talks about the kid carrying the crushing weight of the James legacy. But here is the twist. Almost every analyst on the planet expected LeBron to flex his immense power to force Bronny into the rotation, or at the very least, to clap back hard against the coach's public criticism. Instead, the King chose the path of total isolation. He threw his son into the fire to face the consequences alone, publicly backing a development plan that looked more like an ordeal than a strategy. In a March 2025 interview, LeBron finally broke down the tape, talking about the slow, grinding improvement Bronny has made since fighting back from that terrifying medical emergency at USC. He emphasized that he's been tracking Bronny's resurrection from the second he stepped back on the court after the heart incident all the way to these high-pressure moments. This narrative shifted the spotlight from immediate failure to a long-term battle for survival and growth, framing the struggles as necessary scars rather than career-ending wounds. LeBron's eerie patience seems rooted in the knowledge that end Bachelor of Arts careers are marathons, especially for a kid who wasn't handed a golden ticket via the draft lottery. But this restraint becomes suspicious, even controversial, when you hold it up against the bloody history LeBron has with his head coaches. It is a track record that has earned him a dark reputation in league circles, one that whispers of betrayal. The silence regarding Bronny sits inside a massive, volatile context that makes the fan base incredibly skeptical. Since landing in Los Angeles in 2018, LeBron has been viewed as the puppet master behind every major hiring and firing execution. The coach killer tag has stalked him like a shadow from Cleveland to Miami and now LA, racking up a body count of over a dozen coaching changes since 2003. The LA saga alone is a graveyard. Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, Darvin Ham, and now JJ Redick. That is 4 head coaches in barely 7 seasons, every single exit, fueling conspiracy theories about the King's thumb being on the scale. This relentless coaching carousel isn't just a footnote. It is the defining drama of his entire legendary career. In Cleveland, the list was endless. Paul Silas, Brendan Malone, Mike Brown twice, Byron Scott, David Blatt, and Tyronn Lue all chewed up and spit out. Down in Miami, Eric Spoelstra only survived the heat because Pat Riley sat in the Godfather chair and held more power than any superstar ever could. But in the City of Angels, where LeBron arrived as both the savior and the ultimate weapon, his shadow swallows the entire organization, leaving everyone wondering who actually calls the shots. Front office maneuvers, roster teardowns, and the hiring of coaches all bleed back to one terrified question. What does LeBron want? Luke Walton was exiled after the 2018-2019 season amidst explosive reports that LeBron was torching him behind closed doors for prioritizing rookie development over veteran dominance. That disaster season ended with the Lakers missing the playoffs for the first time since 2005, leading to a ruthless purge where the young core was shipped off for Anthony Davis, a total shift from building a future to chasing a ring at all costs. Frank Vogel delivered the promised land in 2020, but was fired in 2022, becoming the scapegoat for the chaotic Russell Westbrook experiment, a move LeBron reportedly demanded. Anonymous sources leaked that the King was dissatisfied with Vogel. And just like that, after a 33-49 record, Vogel was history. Darvin Ham dragged them to the Western Conference Finals in 2023, only to be crucified by fans and media for his rotation struggles. His 2024 firing after getting bounced by Denver was spun by ESPN as a front office decision, but nobody truly believes the Kings' fingerprints weren't on the weapon. But then, the Netflix bombshell dropped, shattering the silence. That documentary didn't just hint at tension, it exposed the raw, ugly workload disputes that fueled the narrative that LeBron James wanted Darvin Ham gone. So when J. Redick took the helm in 2024, it didn't just raise eyebrows. It set the entire sports world on fire with conspiracy theories about who is really running this team. Think about the optics. Redick, a rookie head coach with zero experience, literally co-hosted the Mind the Game podcast with LeBron just weeks before getting the job. The initial rumors screamed nepotism, painting this as a classic LeBron power move, even as the King publicly scrambled to distance himself, claiming he left the decision entirely up to the front office. Insider Shams Charania reported that LeBron kept his hands clean during the search, but in the court of public opinion, the verdict was already in. Fast forward to January 2026, and the honeymoon is officially over. The Lakers are sliding, the defense is crumbling after LeBron's return, and Redick's seat is getting hotter by the second. The noise from the YouTube commentariat is deafening. Even former stars like Gilbert Arenas are reading between the lines, suggesting Redick is fighting for his life after he dared to criticize the team's effort levels in post-game pressers. And make no mistake, some of those subtle jabs felt like they were aimed directly at the King himself. Critics are tearing into the dynamic, claiming LeBron's stranglehold on the franchise is choking the life out of it, fueled by an ego that refuses to accept he's no longer the solar system the Lakers orbit around. Redick has been forced to play defense at the podium, labeling the attacks on LeBron's commitment as unfortunate, while desperately trying to highlight his star's dedication behind the scenes. Now, to be clear, there are no credible reports yet that LeBron is actively plotting a coup, but the silence regarding his son Bronny compared to his heavy-handed history with coaches creates a tension you can cut with a knife. Haters are already branding him a coach killer, pointing to the brutal pattern. Every coach in his orbit seems to get axed within a 6-year window. Defenders scream that these are organizational failures, not LeBron's demands, but the timeline is damning. Then you look at the defensive metrics since LeBron came back from that sciatica injury in November 2025, and it throws gasoline on the fire. The numbers are catastrophic. The Lakers' defensive rating plummeted by approximately 4.4%. We are talking about a swing of 4 points per 100 possessions when LeBron is on the floor versus when he sits. That is a championship-killing stat. Analysts are circling like sharks, pointing out that at age 41, the lateral quickness is gone, leading to lazy closeouts that are costing the team games. Will these struggles trigger another firing? It remains to be seen. But history has taught us one undeniable lesson. When the ship starts sinking around LeBron, the coach is usually the first one thrown overboard. But here is what is not up for debate. LeBron's shadow looms over every single move this franchise makes, especially when it comes to the development of his son. And while LeBron has kept his mouth shut publicly regarding Redick's handling of Bronny, the organization has quietly executed a strategy to pull the kid out of the suffocating NBA spotlight. This isn't just coaching, this is a calculated rescue mission that goes way beyond a simple sideline outburst. They have engaged a deliberate shuttle system, bouncing him between the glamorous NBA bench and the grind of the South Bay Lakers in the G League. This was designed specifically to fix the glaring hesitation issues Redick called out after that disaster against the Bucks. The moment that viral clip hit the internet, Bronny was shipped to South Bay just days after the November 18th game, but this wasn't his first rodeo in the development league. He ground out parts of his rookie year there in the 2024-2025 season, putting up decent numbers with 13 points and nearly 4 assists across 7 games. But the assignments in the 2025-2026 season are different. They are surgical, focusing entirely on offensive aggression and rebuilding his shattered shot confidence. And in his first game back with South Bay on November 22nd, 2025, Bronny finally looked like he was ready to silence the doubters. He played over 31 minutes and flipped the switch, taking 10 field goals and refusing to back down. The stat sheet screamed potential. 15 points on 5 of 10 shooting, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block in a blowout 111-95 victory. It wasn't just the scoring. It was the poise he was setting up teammates and protecting the rock, committing only a single turnover in the entire game. The G League gave him the one thing the NBA couldn't, a laboratory to fail and fix his game without the national media breathing down his neck. South Bay's system mirrors the main roster, but they drilled him on specifics, hesitation moves, step-back jumpers, and drive-and-kick scenarios until it became muscle memory. In practice, they forced him to relive the nightmare of the Bucks game, putting him in those exact spots and demanding he pull the trigger instead of freezing up. The difference between his G League dominance and his NBA struggles is night and day, and critics are using that gap to ask the ultimate question: is he an NBA player or just a G League star with a famous last name? As the season dragged on, the shuttle program became the new normal, with Bronny living out of a suitcase between the big league and South Bay. By early January 2026, the sample size grew to 8 games, and the numbers were solid, 11 points per game. He was averaging 4.6 assists and 3 rebounds while logging over 31 minutes a night, proving he can play, but can he do it when the lights are brightest? The numbers on the stat sheet might not jump off the page, but if you look closer, you see a heartbeat, a shift toward a ruthless, decisive style of play. His assist-to-turnover ratio isn't just better than his rookie G League days, it's a revelation signaling that he's finally reading the floor and cutting out the fear. But let's be real, the massive canyon between his Bachelor of Arts production and his G League grind tells you exactly where he stands in this war for a roster spot. Under the bright lights of the association, he's barely a blip on the radar, averaging a meager 1.5 points, 4 boards, and just over 1 assist in garbage time minutes. But down in the trenches of the G League, it's a different animal. The extended run is letting him find a rhythm, unlocking a shooter's touch, and a suffocating defense that turns panic into transition gold. And give the kid credit, Bronny isn't running from the truth. He's looking it dead in the eye with brutal honesty. He doesn't see the developmental league as a punishment or a grave. He views it as the forge, attacking his weaknesses with an open mind and zero ego. That warrior mentality is the only reason he's surviving the reps. The coaching staff has stripped his game down to the studs, getting hyper-specific about what needs to be fixed. Head coach Jay Redick has drawn a line in the sand, repeatedly stressing that physical conditioning is the single massive wall standing between Bronny and a real end. Bachelor of Arts career. Redick isn't guessing. He lived this battle. As a former sharpshooter who survived 15 years in the league on pure grit and lungs, he knows exactly what it takes. He laid it out plain. Bronny's engine isn't big enough yet. It needs to reach a freakish level. We're talking about a level where he can survive the meat grinder of Bachelor of Arts minutes, lock up the fastest guards on the planet, and endure the 82-game death march without breaking. But it's not just the legs, it's the head. Confidence. That killer instinct in high-pressure cookers has been the other major target on his back. Redick and his assistants spotted the fatal flaw early, that split-second hesitation in live games that screams a lack of trust in his own trigger finger. By November 2025, the narrative started to flip. Redick was singing a different tune, praising the kid's shooting swagger and decision-making. He was finally earning trust when the bullets were flying, stepping up in critical moments when the roster was decimated by injuries. The biggest shock? The playmaking. According to Redick, Bronny isn't just passing, he's evolving, creating off the dribble, moving without the ball, and dissecting defenses like a veteran. The coaching staff isn't coddling him either. It's a volatile mix of tough love. We're seeing explosive sideline outbursts mixed with quiet encouragement, framing this agony as a necessary process built for Bronny's unique, high-stakes reality. But no matter how much sweat he leaves on the floor, one screaming question hangs over the arena like a dark cloud. Does this kid actually belong here? You cannot untangle the coaching moments from the radioactive controversy surrounding his arrival in the league. The Lakers selecting Bronny James with the 55th overall pick in the 2024 draft isn't just a transaction. It is arguably the most explosive, scrutinized decision in modern sports history. It sparked a wildfire of allegations that this was never about talent. It was about pure, unadulterated nepotism fueled by the king himself. Remember the backdrop. Bronny was coming off a freshman season at USC that was derailed by a terrifying cardiac arrest and a stat line that whispered not ready. We're talking 4.8 points, less than 3 rebounds, and barely 2 assists while shooting 36% from the field. The experts, the independent mock drafts, they didn't just have him falling, they had him completely off the board, undrafted. Critics have been screaming from the rooftops that the talent simply isn't N Bachelor of Arts caliber. But the real drama lies in the shadows with Rich Paul of Clutch Sports. Reports surfaced that Paul was strong-arming the league, calling teams during the draft with the threat, pick him, and he goes to Australia. It was a power play of epic proportions, warning franchises to back off so the prince could land in the right kingdom. Former Warriors GM Bob Myers dropped a bombshell on live TV, confirming that this tactic effectively terrified other teams into passing on him. It funneled Bronny directly to the Lakers, playing right into the narrative LeBron had been building for years. LeBron had already set the stage in 2022, vowing that wherever Bronny is, that's where I'll be, holding the league hostage with his loyalty. And while he tried to downplay the father-son fantasy in early 2024, nobody was buying it. His raw, emotional reaction on draft night and that massive 2-year extension confirmed what everyone suspected. The kid was the key to keeping the king. The backlash has been relentless. Heavy hitters in sports media haven't held back, challenging LeBron's legacy and questioning the morality of the maneuver. Former number 1 pick Kwame Brown absolutely scorched the earth, destroying the situation as LeBron abusing his power to force an unearned gift upon his son. And as we drag into the 2025-2026 season, the fire hasn't died down. It's burning hotter. Bronny's limited minutes, the constant shuttle to the G League, and his seeming immunity to roster cuts despite shaky production have fueled new accusations of favoritism. Some voices are asking why Bronny gets the spotlight while other second-round grinders are ignored, but come on, the answer is staring us in the face. The media is obsessed with the James bloodline. They are going to talk about Bronny because he carries the most famous surname in basketball history. Defenders try to deflect, claiming nepotism is the end. Bachelor of Arts' dirty little secret, running rampant in front offices and ownership boxes. They point to guys like Thanasis Antetokounmpo and Tim Hardaway Jr. as proof that connections matter, but none of them carry the weight of the crown like Bronny. Defenders claim snagging Bronny late in the second round was a brilliant low-stakes gamble, swearing his relentless motor and defensive ceiling justified the shot, but does the tape actually back that up? The noise surrounding this duo has been deafening, forcing both the king and his heir to step into the fire and confront the narrative head-on. Back in 2025, Bronny looked the cameras in the eye and admitted the nepotism whispers were never going away, vowing to silence the haters by carving out his own legacy. This isn't just basketball, it is a full-blown culture war over privilege in pro sports, with one side hailing it as the ultimate power move of building generational black wealth, while the opposition screams that the game is rigged, arguing that competitive integrity is being sacrificed at the altar of a superstar's ego. And then the explosion. That viral moment where Coach Redick lost his mind on national television creates the perfect storm of speculation. Was that scream a desperate attempt to ignite a hesitant rookie's fire through some old-school tough love? Or was it the raw, unfiltered rage of a coach shackled by a roster spot wasted on a player who, let's be real, might not belong in the league at all? Fast forward to January 2026, and Bronny is still grinding through year 2, bouncing between the G League and the bench, while the ghost of conspiracy theories haunts the franchise despite zero proof that LeBron's strong-armed management. But in Hollywood, perception is reality, and when you combine those shaky optics with LeBron's notorious history of pulling the strings behind the curtain, you get a recipe for endless drama, blurring the line between a heartwarming father-son history maker and a darker tale of unchecked organizational favoritism. So there you have it, the brutal truth behind that sideline meltdown, where Bronny got absolutely chewed out on live TV, exposing the cracks in the foundation of the most scrutinized team on the planet. The pressure is mounting, the season is on a knife's edge, and you better believe the world is glued to the screen to see if this experiment finally explodes.